Very good morning to you. You're watching Channel M Breakfast Show on Friday, the 20th of March. I'm Michelle Eagleton.
And I believe I'm Byron Evans. And in a few minutes, we've got all the latest sports headlines with Mike Bradley. And we've got some betting advice right now from the Brekkie tipster from Betfred, Mr. Mark Pearson. How the devil are you, sir? I'm
very, very well, very well. Now, it's another huge weekend of gambling. Yeah. And the biggest watched event, do you know what it'll be?
I was going to say, there's no horse racing this
Dancing
season.
on ice.
Woo!
Let's have a look at the odds for dancing on ice. Now, I'd prefer if it was darts on ice, but dancing on ice is all right. Now, Ray Quinn is too short a price to win dancing on ice, so avoid Ray Quinn. However, he could be the only trophy going back to Merseyside this year. Ooh. Ray Quinn is odds-on to win dancing on ice, so there's no value there whatsoever. Jessica Taylor is improving, but unfortunately I think the finals come a bit too early for her. Of course, she's Peterson's squeeze, and Kevin Peterson's in action today in the cricket. England are 5-6 to beat the West Indies. And then you've got Doonall now. It's Doonall, isn't it?
Is it Doonall or Donnell?
It's Doonall. I'm being posh, it's Doonall. It's
Doonall McIntyre is your third favourite at, I think he's nearly as big as 10-1. Now, why did he go on this? When I first heard he was going on this, I thought he must be going to see some undercover about the phone voting or something like that.
Perhaps,
but anyway, the ladies have kept our undercover reporter in. He's 13-2 to fall over, which I thought was quite a good bet. Because you can get the price of Ray Quinn to win. Ray Quinn is going to win, but, I mean, 2-9, it's too short a price for us working people.
I'm going to be controversial here and say
well, betting's all about opinion, so if I'm wrong, tell me.
I put my money on Doonall because he has gone down a treat with the ladies. Shh. And I do think by this time that get to the final, everyone's sick of Ray, and girls don't vote for girls, so Jessica's got no chance. Well,
betting's about opinions, and we've just had Colin Jackson on. He should have won Strictly Come Dancing when he was on, because he was the best dancer by a long, long way. And look, recently, Vern Troyer, he was an odds-on favourite to win Celebrity Big Brother, and he got turned over by the Swede, Ulrika. She didn't even spill the beans on...
and Ray Quinn, at the point, he's going to have to go back to the Munsters as well after he finishes that, won't he? Let's turn our attention...
Should we do a bit of sport?
Let's do a bit of sport,
Can I just say, a good bet? I do think they do get carried away to the judges in these finals, and Ray Quinn's odds-on to get a perfect 30. I think that is guaranteed, because he always get carried away in these finals, don't they?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But his head might be really big and might fall over on the ice. Just an idea.
Possibly. Should we do football?
Please.
It's going to be a huge afternoon of betting. Once the draws come out, we've got the Champions League draw at 11, so we'll find out United's fate about 11 o'clock. And we've got, obviously, City in the UEFA Cup. Now, at the moment, we've got United joint favourites with Barcelona 5-2, Chelsea are 5-1, Liverpool are 7-1, Arsenal 8-1. We've been taking bets this week on who United will draw. Now, all the money's been for United-Liverpool in the quarter-final, which is 11-2 shot. I heard Mike Bradley early on in the sports news saying he'd love a United-Barcelona final. That's 4-1 if you want to have a bet on that. So what we find out today, we not only find out our quarter-final opponents, we also find out who they get in the semi-final as well. So we expect to take a lot of money this afternoon when people find out what the draw is. And City... still joint favourites, even after last night. Obviously, Given saved their bacon in Denmark. 4-1 joint favourites. I heard your gag earlier on. Shea Given was fantastic last night. And City are joint favourites with Werder Bremen at 4-1.
4-1. I mean, Mike was also saying in a sport, we'll be speaking to him shortly, that there are no easy games for City. All the teams look really tough. And he thinks probably the easiest game possibly maybe Villarreal.
Villarreal would obviously be for United in the Champions League.
Sorry, yeah, I got completely confused.
Look, right now, Fergie's sat here watching Channel M Breakfast, right, wanting Villarreal or Porto.
Yes, that's what I was trying to get at.
Now, Mark Hughes, I think what he would prefer would be...
Udinese, that's it. That's
Udinese, possibly.
That's what I was talking about.
Normally, you don't want to go to Russia and play like Shakhtar Donetsk or Dynamo Kiev. However, you're going out there in April, it's a lot different. So, to be honest, I think City... I think Mark Hughes is just delighted to be in the last 8 after last night.
Brilliant.
Well, we're delighted to have you in. The mighty Mark Pearson, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Hopefully see you again next week, sir.
Yes. I might have 50p each way in a couple of those, anyway.
Exactly. Only ever gamble what you can afford to lose.
Right, time for today's news with James Webster. Thank you very much.
Good morning. These are Friday's top stories. The number of people ending up at magistrates' courts has fallen significantly. On-the-spot fines for minor offences that were brought in 3 years ago are thought to be behind the drop. Across Greater Manchester, cases are down by 8%, but in Trafford that figure's much higher at 40%. Many offenders now get an £80 fixed penalty ticket instead for things like harassment and vandalism. The Conservatives will start arriving here for their spring conference later. It's being held in Bolton over the weekend. One of the main topics for debate will be the big rise in unemployment figures, where an average of 10 people are chasing each vacancy. In Oldham, that number's higher at 19. We've been in the town getting people's thoughts on what priorities they think the Tories need to tackle.
He needs to tackle the unemployment. That's the biggest issue, because I actually work at the job centre. In Oldham, it's absolutely massive. It's pushing 2 million unemployed. We can't cope with the demand. We're having to do overtime. Claims have just gone through the roof. We just can't pay them on time. We just can't cope with it. There's that many people coming in. And when we do job searches with customers, there isn't anything coming through.
A 4-year-old girl who was badly hurt in a car crash in Wigan has now died. Ellie Barber from Abram was hit by a vehicle at the junction of Warrington Road and Park Lane. She had serious head injuries and had been taken to hospital. Ryanair is creating 40 jobs by starting a new daily service between Manchester and Brussels from June. The airline currently operates 4 flights a week on the route. The firm's doubled the number of passengers it handles from there, and this year hopes to take numbers past the 1 million mark. It's being suggested dentists should be given a limit on how much private work they can do. The new local government network thinks a quota would make it easier for people to access NHS treatment. There are now 1 million fewer people on the NHS books for mouth care compared to when new contracts were brought in to try to improve the system. Now, there's been discussions this week about post offices doubling up as banks. Well, one in Ashton-under-Lyne already provides an extra service, but it's got nothing to do with money, as Ben Bland explains.
You could be forgiven for thinking this was just another post office. But you know what they say? Don't judge a book by its cover. You see, after this one was saved from the threat of closure, they came up with a rather novel idea to keep the customers coming back. It's a mini library with a selection of 250 books. It's been up and running for about a week so far, and it's already proved popular with the customers.
I think it's very good. A very good idea, especially when people can't get into Ashton.
And have you taken any books out?
I have, yes.
Any good?
Very good, yes, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, a romance, not for me, for my mother. If he gets some good thrillers in, then I'll venture myself, you know. But I do suggest I would like to see some children's books. Be very, very handy, that, for little ones, yeah.
It's a good idea. It looks like there's a wide choice of books for everyone. It's a lot closer than the library in Ashton. Yeah, it's a good idea.
Just 6 months ago, the Broad Oak Post Office was threatened with closure, but was saved by a local campaign. The sub-postmaster here says this new idea benefits not only his shop, but others nearby. And it's free.
All the books are supplied by Thameside Library. But if customers want any book, they come here, they join us, with the name and address, everything, and they just check the book away. There is no other different formality. You know, very simple, very simple.
For businesses, it now seems diversity is the key to survival. And after seeing how well the idea has worked at this post office, you might find others soon taking a leaf out of their book. Ben Bland, Channel M News.
That's all from me for this morning. I'll be back with that interview with the Shadow Chancellor, George Osborne, on the Channel M lunchtime news at 12 noon. And don't forget, Andy Crane will have more for you from 5 o'clock tonight. Now, though, here's the sport with Byron and Mike.
Well, Shea has given City another lease of life by saving their blushes quite literally last night in the UEFA Cup clash between City and AA Aalborg.
Unbelievable. Only City could have written a pantomime script like that. It's leading 2-0 from the first leg, 5 minutes to go, looking secure for the berth in the last 8 of the UEFA Cup, and they let 2 late goals slip through, forcing the tie into extra time. Nobody created a chance within the following 30 minutes. It went to penalties. It was a tense affair. As you say, Shea Given saved twice to send City through to the last 8. 8, where they won't be hoping to play Villarreal, probably be hoping to play Udinese.
My bad.
Who were one of the teams left in it, along with Hamburg, Werder Bremen, as Mark Pearson said, they're second joint favourites with City 4-1, and Marseille, Paris Saint-Germain, Shakhtar Donetsk and Dynamo Kiev. So a tough 7 balls in the hat this afternoon. We'll be bringing news from 12 o'clock on the lunchtime news on Channel M about that. But for City, no easy tie left, and I do hope they get Udinese.
OK. Vidic, you got news on him. He's been in the papers as well this morning.
He has been in the paper now. The other day we told you that Jose Mourinho was sniffing around and wanted to take him during the summer. Well, there is truth in that rumour. Silvano Martina, Vidic's agent, has been on this morning saying he's told Inter Milan and AC Milan not to bother trying to sign Vidic because Vidic will be staying at Old Trafford for the remainder of his contract at least. Yeah, you said yesterday as well that Sir Alex Ferguson's biggest regret was getting rid of Jaap Stam. There's no way he's going to let Vidic go. He's not going to make the same mistake twice. No. And fresh from signing his new contract, Rafa Benitez has been handed £30 million to spend, and the first 2 names on his shopping list are Aaron Lennon and Gareth Barry from Aston Villa. You can't have him. £30 million. You can't have him. Also, Antonio Valencia from Wigan as well. We believe he's going to make a move for him during the summer. So those 3 players, £10 million each. That should be quite good for Liverpool. OK, speaking of Wigan. Speaking of Wigan, they travel to Salford City Reds tonight. Sean McRae, he's had a tough time as head coach at Salford City. He thinks this night's game could be the one that reignites his season.
Well, I certainly hope it is. We played particularly well against St Helens last week, but the scoreline won't indicate that. But we certainly did a lot of things much better than we had been doing for the previous couple of matches and let ourselves down. But what we need to do is put ourselves in a position to win matches. And probably since the first victory against the Celtic Crusaders, we've not really been able to do that. And that's been the disappointing thing. I'm not sure it's the losing that disappoints you more. I think it's how you lose games and knowing that you're in a chance of winning. And with Wigan on Friday, they're a particularly potent side. They've got tremendous attacking ability. They're at full strength, a lot of experienced players, a lot of athleticism. But all those things are great challenges for us. I think we played against a very good team last week, and if we can take that as a sort of a benchmark and a standard where we start off from, then we'll improve. And if we improve, then we've got a chance against an outfit like the Wigan Warriors.
Well, those are the views of Mr McRae, but what of Mr Noble? Mr Noble, well, he's had a tough time as well. He was odds-on favourite to be the first Super League manager to be fired, and he's coming to the Willows tonight fresh on the back of a heavy defeat against Leeds. He knows he's not going to be in for an easy time.
I think Salford on its own at the Willows is a tough game. You know, we've had some tussles there over the last few years. It won't be any different, I don't think, on Friday night. I think our start will be important, but so will they be talking about that. And they're going to be very determined. I think it's a particular fixture that they like. The Salford fans like it, and they would like to embarrass the Wigan club. So our attitude has to be first class. This is a tough game that we're going into, and you have to do certain things to get wins in rugby league. It's no different. In fact, more so this week after our slip last week. We need to reinvest in the things we were doing the 2 previous weeks, not what we did last week.
That's it for today and this week's Sport with Mike Bradley. But he'll be back on Monday as we'll be celebrating
a famous Calcutta Cup Six Nations victory over the old enemy Scotland.
Hey! And of course we'll also be celebrating Wales's win over Ireland as well. Time now for a short break, and we're going to finish off this morning's show with Jude's Gig Guide. Stay tuned for some great music. We'll see you soon.